Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Sunday, July 7th, 2019. Hey, gang, I want to talk about a serious subject here. And many of you have already heard about this. It's been in the news. And this is about Jeffrey Epstein. And there's a reason why I want to talk about this. This is probably, if this actually ends up being prosecuted properly, and we have honorable, honest people involved with the prosecution, if we have a judge that has not been bought and paid off, as has been in the past with Epstein, this could potentially take down the United States government. And I'll explain why here. But this is breaking. It is happening now. It started yesterday, and with yesterday being Saturday. And he has apparently been arrested, and I'm not exactly sure why the case was elevated. I have been looking into this, and right now I don't have a whole lot of time to look into anything, and so I apologize. So there's going to be some holes in what I'm about to talk about, but I don't know all the facts or all the details yet. So just be forewarned, some of this is conjecture. Some of this is just my opinion, and I'm just drawing lines here, connecting the dots. But this man is a hedge fund manager. He managed a fund that apparently had one client, and but then again, we don't really have all the details on that because he claims he's managing Rockefeller money and stuff like that. But apparently, it's just one client, and apparently, with managing the money of one client, he became a billionaire personally, not his hedge fund worth billions. He's worth billions. So, how does that happen with someone managing just one client's money? Even if his client is a billionaire, how does he, serving that billionaire, himself become a billionaire and have so many homes, and indeed owns two islands in the Caribbean, St. James and Greater St. James, I believe they're called. But how does that happen? Well, before I get on a little bit more, and by the way, this is one story, SGT report on this, and I'm going to link up some others from High Impact Vlogs. And actually, I recommend you subscribe to both of these guys. And High Impact is actually going to be putting out more videos today. And he is digging into this, which is what I don't have the time to do right now. So I'm going to basically make this video and hope that you guys follow this story very, very closely, because this has the potential to literally take down the United States government, and I'll explain why. Okay, this guy was prosecuted back in 2005, I believe it was, and they worked it down, or 2006, I'm sorry, 2006. The Fed was involved, so that means the FBI, Department of Justice, and da-di-da. And they prosecuted him on they convicted him of two very, very small offenses, which was he paid prostitutes, for sex. But that is not what he was originally brought in for. So he got basically a very minor sentence. It was like 18 months in a penitentiary, but it turns out he didn't even really serve that. He had an exclusive part of the prison that he was in all to himself. It was a wing of the section they had closed off just for him, so he wouldn't have to interact with any other inmates. And he did not serve very much time there at all, because they were allowing him to leave for 12 hours per day to go to work. And while he was at work, he was allowed to see as many people as he wanted to see. So it was a joke. But that's where I want to get to something that may even be more disturbing. Now, this is a long article, and I can go into other things in this. In fact, there's a lot of information just in this article. And this is the one that a lot of people are using to create their videos. I just wanted to make you aware of it. I will link it down below. But I don't know how many of you have ever seen a movie called The Devil's Advocate. And this is a movie with Keanu Reeves, and I cannot recall the names of the other people that were in that film. And it's been over a decade, I think, since I've seen the movie. But that was one of those movies that is literally seared into my brain. And, and I'll, it's for many, many reasons. Al Pacino. Al Pacino played the devil in that movie. Now, I want to warn you in advance, there's sex scenes in the video. So I do remember that as well. But there's a really, really interesting story there. And basically, Keanu Reeves plays an attorney that gets child molesters off the hook. That's what he does. And and in the biggest case that he works on, the devil hires him. Of course, the devil's not the devil. He's just like a high flying, jet setting businessman who is literally just making money out there doing everything he can to make money while he's protecting his interests on Earth. And that's the Al Pacino role. But Keanu Reeves eventually has a crisis of conscience. But what was real, and then of course turns around and decides he's not going to do it that way. He's not going to play their game anymore their way. But his wife in the film had an interesting revelation when she sees that she is completely surrounded by demons. All the people they associate with, in the law office there in New York, are all demons. And there's she sees them physically manifest as demons. I mean, and so Keanu Reeves can't see it. He never saw it because he was so blinded by greed, by the money, by the prestige of being an attorney, that he never saw that they were actually demons. He didn't see the physical manifestations that his wife did. And she goes crazy in the film, realizing that there's just so many evil people within the network, you know, attorneys, businessmen, judges, politicians even. She actually starts going insane, and in the end of the film, it's really sad. She commits suicide because she can't handle that information. And this is kind of what I like in this Jeffrey Epstein case back in 2006 too. There are so many evil people in our politics, in literally United States politicians, the judges in the United States, the lawyers, the businessmen, so many evil people, that I'm not going to say they're demons. I mean, one might make an assertion that they might be possessed by demons because of the kinds of things they do and what they're willing to do to get out of getting in trouble, including and up to murder. But this is the kind of people we're dealing with. And I'm telling you, this man right here, Jeffrey Epstein, has been protected by the system, including the United States Department of Justice, the FBI, most likely the CIA, and U.S. politicians far and wide. I mean, I'm talking about senators and representatives, and also judges and attorneys. I mean, just like in the movie The Devil's Advocate, where basically there was a high-flying client that Keanu Reeves was serving at the time that was being accused of murder, but he was also sleeping with his stepdaughter. And I mean, it's a really sick premise, guys. But I mean, the premise, I get you. And many of you are going to say, "Hey, TC, I'm not going to watch that. I'm just not going to watch it." Okay, consider reading a synopsis of the movie online, because it actually kind of is the same. It's almost like Hollywood predicted this, but that there are people out there so evil that they have no problem molesting kids. I mean, they just don't have a problem with it. And keep in mind, there are movements here in America to make that legal. NAMBLA, has been around for decades trying to make that legal. But now there's other things going on trying to make, sex with children legal in the United States. I can't speak of the rest of the world, and I will in a second here as much as I can, but as far as the legality of it. But this is not an internal domestic problem only to the U.S. This is all around the world. And I kid you not, they go and recruit kids all over the world and bring them into this, the sex slavery. And once again, some of this is conjecture, but I, I submit to you that I think that Justice John Roberts is involved in this operation. Now, this is a pretty harsh claim, but I think he's compromised in that regard. Either he's protecting them or, he is involved. I just don't know. Um, so, guys, what I'm telling you is if this is actually allowed to be prosecuted, if we take these evil men down, if we have enough people that are of good conscience, I don't even have to say Christian because I know it's possible for someone who is not a true Christian to have a conscience. I know that for a fact, and I know that that's a weird claim to make too. But I know many, 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 many people that are not Christian that have definitely a very different value system from me. So that's why I say that. I'm not trying to offend anyone here. That is not my purpose. I'm not trying to be offensive. I am simply trying to bring to light what it means if this case is truly, truly prosecuted, and that the judges are not bought off and paid for, if the jury's not bought off and paid for, if the politicians don't swoop in and politically try to get this guy out of the hot seat, if lawyers, and by the way, he's a billionaire, he can afford as many lawyers as he wants, he can afford as much protection as he needs to get out of this. And that's what he did in 2006. And other people came to his rescue as well. So I'm telling you guys, this here is Jenga. We're playing Jenga right now. And I just don't know, honestly, if we're going to have an actual, honest to God, real prosecution here. Now, this man needs to be taken out. There is no doubt about it. But he knows so many people that have been involved in this with him. Bill Clinton, I'm going to name him right away too. Bill Clinton has definitely been involved in his operations, and so is Hillary. In fact, I submit to you that the Clinton Foundation, the Clinton Initiative, was heavily tied in with Jeffrey Epstein and the trafficking of children. And that's something that you won't find in the mainstream media. But once again, I'm connecting dots. There is just far, far, far too much evidence, even available in the mainstream, if you're willing to look for it. You have to put pieces together, though. The alternative media helps you put together pieces a little bit better. But this is a problem that involves other countries, too. Prince Andrew, of course, you may or may not know him. He's not as well known as many of the other royals in England, but he is one of the kids of Queen Elizabeth. And he has definitely flown on the Lolita Express, which is Epstein's plane, and has been to the island of St. James, where he is already accused by some girls for molesting them and raping them. And so, and by the way, this is one of many. I could have a string of tabs across the top of my screen here right now to show you lots and lots and lots of big celebrities, politicians, men of finance that have been accused, because there's a lot of them. But I just wanted to show you that it's not just an American problem. But this is the ties that bind. Now, I'm going to offer you an idea, and you guys, just kind of follow me along with this. We all know that there's evil within government, and they do evil things, and they protect one another. But is there honor among thieves? I mean, what ties all of these evil people together so they don't turn on one another? And because I think what it is they make sure that everyone, you're not allowed in the club unless you've been compromised. Unless you've had sex with, a youngster and you've had your pictures taken while you were having sex with a youngster, or a movie made of it, or you literally get you shoot people and you kill people, and there are witnesses, and those witnesses are part of the club. This is how you get into the club, gang. This is how you get into this club that they all enjoy. And there are other ways too that I'm not even going to talk about. But this is the tie that binds. They're all compromised. Now, people think Nexium was, pulling the tapestry apart. It is not. It is not, and it never will be. Nexium was a microcosm, and it was not necessarily tied into the bigger operation. The biggest operation, in my opinion, once again conjecture, was the Clinton Initiative or the Clinton Foundation, where they take money and they used it to organize and fund human trafficking. Now, others may disagree with me. I can't prove that. I'm making an assertion here, but that's where I think Epstein came in, because Epstein provided, a lot of that money, a lot of the information needed, and a lot of business cover, political cover. Well, they already had that. They didn't need Epstein for that. But is he going to sing? Is he going to talk? My guess is no, because he knows that the Clintons, it doesn't matter where he goes, he cannot run, he cannot hide. If he turns on the Clintons, he will die, just like everyone else who has turned on the Clintons. So that is my opinion, but at the same time, they may be able to take down other politicians. I very much doubt anyone's going to turn on the Clintons. But I want to tell you this, I think the Bushes are involved too. I can't prove it, but once again, you connect the dots, it does start to work that the Bushes are involved in this operation as well. So, and I'm talking about the larger family. I'm not talking about George Bush, Jr., but I think his father was definitely involved in this, and because he was involved in a bigger program, MK Ultra, where they were turning kids into sex slaves, and that was back in the 60s, and that was a CIA operation. And once again, I'm not going to go into the bigger argument of that. There are books written about this. Um, the Transformation of America was one of those books. It's hard to find now. You might look for it on Amazon. And TRANCE dash Formation of America. That's the way it was. And I had a friend who had the book, and he has since passed away. So I have no way of accessing that book unless I go out and buy a copy myself. But it was a good book. Okay. I am going to pretty much wrap it up here. I've made a lot of assertions and conjecture in this, but I think it's all warranted. If you guys actually read this story right here, and this will be linked down below, you'll see how he easily skated away from prosecution from molesting youngsters. They even did not even bring that up as a charge. He agreed to 2 counts of prostitution. So he paid, women for money. That's what he agreed to even get in trouble in the first place. Well, that's good and that's bad. It's good because they can still prosecute him on the youngsters because they haven't, quote unquote, prosecuted him and prosecuted, and convicted him of molesting youngsters yet. So they can still do that in court. So that's unfortunately the good part. The bad part is I think we're going to see another situation like that arise. I think a lot of people are going to come to his defense. I think there's going to be a shroud of protection, an umbrella being formed of politicians, judges, men of high finance to protect this man because he is so key to the sexual trafficking of minors. And this man needs to go away for life or worse. But also, too, he must sing. So this is the deal. This is why I would say sodium pentothal this guy while he's in custody. If he won't talk, make him talk. We have to get the information. But the thing is can we trust our government to properly prosecute this? The answer is no, we can't. Once you see The Devil's Advocate, you'd understand what I mean by that. When you're absolutely surrounded by evil, like you would have, like for instance, I don't know why anyone would want to go to Washington, D.C. What's the point? You get surrounded by demons when you go to Washington, D.C. And if you're a good person, they will get to you, turn you into one of them, or they will kill you. Or, in many cases in Washington, D.C., they just literally get rid of you some other way by, discrediting you or false allegations or, whatever. They always find a way to get people out of there that are not in the club. The one exception was Ron Paul. And he was a man of exquisite morality. And I can't even tell you if I know if he's a Christian or not, but he literally would not take bribes. He would not take lobbyist money. Um, in fact, it's just, once again, just a fine, decent man. And he represented the United States, but there was only one, among 535 or whatever they had in there. He couldn't get anything done. And they laughed at him, they scoffed at him and everything. Yet he was the smartest man there. And I think he knew he was surrounded by evil people, but he made a sacrifice to try and make things better for Americans, to bring some kind of sanity, some kind of moral compass to Congress. And he may see what he did as a failure, but I'm here to tell you he was not a failure. There's a lot of people that literally have been changed forever by the information he brought forward about the financial system and how it works, and the fact that it is a fraud. Our financial system worldwide is a fraud, and everyone has to play within that realm. But that's one thing I'm going to start concentrating on with my podcasts, is how to live inside and outside the system simultaneously. And I will do that to the best of my ability. Some of these things I cannot do myself, but I have knowledge of them. Um, but guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Like I said, I'm sorry I get long-winded here on these podcasts, but I do want you guys to look into this Jeffrey Epstein thing. And now that there's a lot of attention on this, let's see if he gets off the hook again. And if he does get off the hook, we need to hold all the judges and politicians and people of finance, the lawyers that protected him and got him off the hook, we need to hold all of them accountable, because they are protecting a demon, Jeffrey Epstein. Um, I say, basically, like I say, sodium pentothal this man and get him to sing. We need all the names. We already have all the names, for all intents and purposes, but and that's from records being kept by the Lolita Express and other records. We need the Clinton Foundation records, which he may or may not have access to or have copies of. Um, but this child trafficking network has to be brought down. There's nothing more important. Let our economy collapse. Let our economy collapse. That's fine. I'm okay with that, actually. But I'm not okay with kids being molested by the people in charge of this country, and indeed the world. Kids being molested, killed, you know, um, all for these sick, banal pleasures of these moguls. It has to stop. And if we can't get it stopped through the legal system, we need to come together and realize that we got a much bigger problem here, and start taking care of it ourselves, because this is immoral. It is highly immoral. In fact, those of you who know the Bible will know that this is like the one thing, Jesus would not accept. He said, for those of you who would harm a child, it would be better for you to tie a millstone around your neck and throw yourself in the river. And I think this is the kind of thing he was referring to, hurting kids like this. Even Jesus was like, no, yeah, because his whole ministry was forgiveness. But on this one thing, he was like, yeah, it's better to take yourself out. My dad used to say, once a child molester, always a child molester, and I believe that. I believe that. I don't think these sick men can be helped. They can simply be kept away. So you have to keep them away from kids. They can't have access to them. But I will remind you one thing, that one of the attorneys that got this guy off the hook is currently in the Trump cabinet under the labor secretary label. Um, I'm not going to say anything more or anything, but I'm just saying that this thing travels far, gang. This goes far and wide, and there's lots of people involved. And quite frankly, for those of you who are of faith, please pray that this will be prosecuted properly and that this guy sings, because we need the names officially. We already have them, I think. But let's see if this is actually the beginning of the toppling of this network, because this will take down governments around the world. This will take down criminal justice systems. This will take down attorneys. This will take down private nonprofit organizations that are actually set up to fund and to organize human trafficking. We need to take this network down. It is our highest priority. My moral compass tells me this is more important than anything else that we have to deal with on this planet right now. More important than anything, including the economy. Let the economy fail. Because if we have an economy that's zombified a common economy. Sorry, I can't speak. I'm legally stupid. If we have a zombie economy, and everyone's still kind of doing okay, and the price of it is that we need to let our kids around the world be molested by these frickin' moguls, then we don't deserve anything. We don't deserve anything. We don't deserve peace. We don't deserve to be safe. We don't deserve anything. These guys must be taken down. Okay, I am done. I'm sorry this rant went on much longer than I expected. But I will link everything down below, including articles and videos, so you guys could look further into this. And I am sorry, I did make some conjecture with this. I did have opinion. This is an op-ed piece as far as I'm concerned. But some of this is fact, and you guys will find this out as you read the articles. This guy has been protected through and through by politicians, by lawyers, by judges, and by big business people. He has been, and they know what he did and what he does and how he does it, and he was still protected. Watch The Devil's Advocate. You'll see what I mean. Okay, gang, thanks again for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm sorry I get a little passionate on the subject. I'm sure many of you do too. But it is something that we cannot sweep under the rug. We have to talk about this. This must be dialogue that we have. And England has its own problems with this too. I brought up Prince Andrew, but you guys know that England's had serious problems with celebrity and child trafficking as well. So it's everywhere, gang. I'm telling you, it's everywhere, and it's the same class of people covering it up too. Okay, gang, you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless you all. Goodbye.